I wanted to talk a little bit about what your thoughts are on basically the current state of crypto in general, in terms of regulation. What do you think is actually a regulation that could be needed or beneficial?
Keep in mind, politically, I'm a libertarian, so right. I don't hold with any sort of regulations. I think we're all adults, and as such, we're required to be self-regulated as individuals. If you sign up for an ICO that turns out to be a Nigerian scam, and by the way, I recommended one such months ago. Okay. And that's how clever they are. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I found out, I immediately, made a statement and apologized. It's your responsibility. It's not the responsibility of some government agency to protect you from your own stupidity,
right?
Or a lack of willingness to check things out. Life is not a safe affair. Never has been. There are risks. It's far more life-supporting to accept those risks than to delegate your safety to some outside agency, which really cannot protect you. End of story.
Right. Yeah, and so, maybe the regulation would help a little bit in some ways with, people not getting burned so quickly.
I'm not sure. See, these are not, even though the SEC continues to insist coins or securities, they are not. A security, by definition, is I own a piece of the action. That is, if you're a company that manufactures automobiles, in theory, if I own 1% of the company, I own 1% of everything.
Right.
If you buy Bitcoin, does Satoshi owe you something? Or, is there a company behind it that you own? No, it's a fucking coin. So, do these things need to be regulated? To what way? What sort of regulation makes any sense? That we don't charge too much for a coin? That we actually provide a service that we say we're going to provide? I'm not sure in this arena how this helps. It's not like we have a company that we're trying to grow, like, a security, to be in on the early days of IBM, for example, when the stock was selling for pennies. It's a responsibility to the other owners of the company. But we don't have that in the crypto world. There's not, we all have to, what I may do as an owner affects other people as an owner. If I own Bitcoin, what I do with my coins does not affect you.
Right. And that's the whole point of Bitcoin,
what then needs to be regulated.
Yeah, I fully agree with you on the regulation front. But maybe for other people, though, what methods could they use themselves to make sure that they're not, jumping into just a horrible scam project?
Well, we have one of the greatest tools ever created, and that's the internet with all of its blogs and chat rooms and the support, if you want to call it that,
right?
Support for everything. Number one, if you're interested in an ICO, I don't know, just go and find one of the groups that are talking about it, analyzing it. Is it an open source project? Have the founders and the developers had experience in the past in creating something like this? It's just use common sense, use the facilities that are there, and join into the community. If you're in the community and talking with others, you're generally not going to get scammed.
I want to move forward and talk a little bit about, obviously, where Bitcoin is going in the long term, 2 years. So I'm a miner myself, and so I understand a little bit about most of the the actual economics behind it. We know we need some transaction fees in there, so we've got the halving coming up, right? And I think that might be the catalyst for possibly Bitcoin over $1 million.
Well, okay. Look at end results and work backwards if necessary. At a certain point, there will be only one Bitcoin left to mine. We all know this, correct?
Right.
You are a miner. There are tens of thousands of ASIC super processors looking for Bitcoins 24 hours a day. Thousands of miners. If Bitcoin is to exist at all, It will continue to grow, or at least it will certainly not decrease in terms of miners. Why? It's a business.
Right.
You know, as more people join in, the difficulty rate goes up. As the difficulty rate goes up, normally, so does the price. And so, and there's this wonderful balance. Let's talk about that last Bitcoin. You know, I was a large miner. I had, you know, a few thousand of Xeon's S9s. Let's say we're all in business to get that last coin. Well, we're not foolish enough not to pool our resources. Every miner at that last coin will be in one pool. Okay, we're all going to share. Okay. What's it going to take to mine? I don't know. It may take a year. 10,000 miners, 100,000 machines a year. Good God Almighty, what is that coin going to be worth? Please, just run the numbers.
Right. Yeah. The last Bitcoin, you know, last Bitcoin will be what is it? The year 2080 or something like that.
Fine, but still,
it's way out there.
Whatever it is.
But after that, I mean, mining is still going to be continuing after.
No question. Yeah, no question. Okay. No question. So, absolutely. Okay. But if that last Bitcoin is not worth $500 billion, I will eat my shoes. Think about it.
Right.
Because otherwise, how could we all be burning the electricity, the time, all the miners in the world trying to mine it, to pool, to share? It has to be worth $1 trillion.
So I guess my real question on this is really, at what point does the transaction volume, you know, the revenue miners are making from the transaction fees, at what point does that become really important for mining ecosystem?
Well, fairly soon, I think.
Okay.
But so will the last Bitcoin as well. Okay.
Well, right, of course.
Let's work back for some 2080. Let's conservatively say it's only $1 billion. I don't care what curve you put in by 2020, Bitcoin is well over $1 million by the end of 2020. Just, you know, work backwards. So one of two things is going to happen. Bitcoin will fucking disappear. It'll be worth at least $1 million at the end of 2020.
Right.
And that's the bet that I have with the world.
Okay.
I think Bitcoin will continue, and in 2020, it has to be at least $1 million.
So what is your opinion on any of the forks of Bitcoin? And what they could potentially...
Forks. Which fork?
Well, no, I mean forks that are still using, that are still on the same hashing algorithm, for example.
I think, you know, a fork is a good concept. It's a healthy concept. It allows people with differences and a way to exit or a way to separate. And it adds creativity. My favorite fork is the Bitcoin private that just happened. You know, some people are calling it a scam. It is not. It's some serious technology.
Right.
And it adds to Bitcoin what Bitcoin has always needed. It makes Bitcoin a superior Monero.
Okay.
And if you go onto the dark web, in the beginning, when cryptocurrencies came up, everybody on the dark web accepted Bitcoins. Why? No credit cards, no bank accounts, perfect. Send me one. And if you're selling illegal tigers from Thailand or a hitman from Russia or drugs from China, then you would like some anonymity. When Monero came along, very quickly on the dark web, completely replaced Bitcoin. Everything is now Monero. I think Bitcoin private is going to replace Monero.
Do you have any thoughts on Zcash, or more specifically?
Well, the only thought I had is if you own Zcash, you got more of the BT's Bitcoin private,
right? Exactly.
Than if you own Bitcoins for the money. So yeah, other than that, no.
Or I guess more specifically, the privacy coins that have the option to not be private. Do you think those are more, you know, have more potential to gain more mainstream adoption? Because of that, it adds
complexity and confusion.
Okay.
You know, people are simple creatures.
Right.
You know, if I want to buy a car, do I want a Maserati, or do I want a van, a soccer mom van, or what do I want? Okay. To try to combine them, you know, it never has worked in any product area. I don't know why cryptocurrency is going to be any different.
Right. It's got to be simple. For most
and well defined. I mean, are you private or not private? Please make a choice. Okay. Right. If you are private, use one of the privacy coins. For things that are not necessarily private, use something else.
And so
why have one coin and say, well, let's now make it private, not private? And what will happen is everyone's going to get fucked up and confused, and it's not going to work properly.
Kind of a follow-up question regarding the regulation.
Yes.
You know, there's not a lot of, there's not trillions coming into Bitcoin yet, and there's some talk that maybe the institutions are afraid to put a bunch of money into Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies until there is regulation.
Right.
What would you think about regulation bringing in an influx of money from, say, the institutions?
That regulation being the influx of money?
Yes.
Well, I don't think regulation necessarily, brings in money. I mean, when they started regulating, the snake oil salesman for cough medicine, it was not a boon for selling cough medicine. In fact, it was a downer. No, it's not regulation that does it. It's understanding. I think that people are afraid to input money into cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin because they just don't understand the mechanics of what's happening. And to say, well, the SEC is regulating them, well, who gives a shit? I mean, there are many regulated industries that have zero growth. I think investors are far more interested in, is this really going to grow? Will regulation help it grow? Probably not. So no, I think that what brings more investment, what brings more interest is understanding what's really happening. What are cryptocurrencies? What is the blockchain? And to say, well, the SEC is regulating them, well, who gives a shit? I mean, there are many regulated industries that have zero growth. I think investors are far more interested in, is this really going to grow? Will regulation help it grow? Probably not. So no, I think that what brings more investment, what brings more interest is understanding what's really happening. What are cryptocurrencies? What is the blockchain? But I think the question is a loaded question that tells a lot about the questioner, meaning investment.
Right.
This is what's wrong. Please God, when cryptocurrencies began, when Bitcoin began, do you think people were going, this is an investment? Fuck no.
Right.
This is a powerful tool to free ourselves from the economic, political cage that the world has constructed for us to live in.
Right.
This coin is going to rise. How about buy a coin for its utility value rather than for whether it's going to rise?
Right.
Things like the outings coin, the outings ICO. I love that thing. Only because I like going out on outings. I like unusual things like street musicians and mimes and so on. And they're kind of random, Where do you find them? I mean, even in Santa Monica, which has the promenade, where all the street musicians and places go, there's still other areas. So the outings program, if you had that app and some tokens, let's assume, let's you're in a bar and you see Tom Cruise. Whoa, I'm in a bar and Tom Cruise is here. Anybody want to pay me 20 outings and I'll tell you exactly where this bar is? I mean, that's a fun application. Do you think anybody bought that coin for its use? No. They bought it because, hey, this is a great coin. It's going to increase in value. Let me get a wallet for it, store it in there, and wait. That's fucked up, people. It
Right.
is
So
fucked up.
let me expand on that a little bit about like the entire hodl culture. You're talking a little bit about the utility of the coin.
Well, yes, of course.
So
but at the same time, okay, all right. There's a philosophy of living that says anything which is quick and fast does not last. It's short-term holders. I mean, day traders can make some money. You can lose some money. You are not going to get enormously wealthy. Mm-hmm. People get wealthy by investing in something called the future.
Right, which
the
is
future.
In my opinion, that's going to include some utility. So,
absolutely.
In the case of Bitcoin, for example,
yes.
The vast majority, well, a lot of the newer people that have jumped in, and some of the long-term people, including myself, are obviously holding Bitcoin and not moving it at all. Where I try to spend Bitcoin when I can because I think it helps the network out, helps the miners a little bit.
Let's be honest, please. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest. Okay. 99% of everybody uses Ethereum to pay, and this for a fact, to buy. And this is why? It's faster, cheaper, far more reliable. Bitcoin, it may take an hour for a transaction to totally verify, and at a cost of $30 for a $5 purchase. You know, this is a fact, right? But impractical, I'm sorry. Until that's fixed, what can you do with Bitcoin other than hold it? Because the spending utility of it does not match other currencies. No, you said you'd like to spend your Bitcoin, but be honest with me.
I don't necessarily
do you not
like
spend
it,
far more Ethereum, or maybe not?
I mean, I personally spend a lot of Bitcoin Cash.
Okay.
You know, especially since BitPay started accepting
now,
it.
people don't say that's not Bitcoin.
Well, of
All
course.
the Jihan Wu haters, right?
Of course, it is not Bitcoin. You're absolutely correct. It's not on the same fork anymore.
Absolutely not.
But it is.
Well, see, they told me Bitcoin Cash. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why Bitcoin Cash came along.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm a firm supporter of Bitcoin Cash. Why? It solved a lot of problems. It was cheap to implement. So why not?
Yeah, a lot of the existing infrastructure is very similar, so it's almost a no-brainer. And we see already that BitPay has enabled it for payments now. And we've also got Coinbase has now decided to get into the merchant side of things as for payment gateways. Do you think we're going to start seeing some traditional players in the game, say MasterCard, Visa, jumping in on that as well? Considering the amount of money that I think BitPay is turned.
Well, keep in mind that most banks have just gone through the effort to ban your ability to buy any cryptocurrencies with credit cards. It's a very conflicted arena in the banking area. Okay, banks, if they had any common sense, they would sit down, totally restructure to accept the new world order of electronic currency. And prosper. Most are going, oh my God, this is a threat. I'll lose this department, that department, the other department. Well, that's life, I'm sorry. Adapt or die. But banks are conflicted. Right now, no, they're not going to help you in any way. Use their facilities to acquire cryptocurrencies.
Few topics regarding the cryptocurrency market cap's about 1%, not even of the global economy.
Yes.
What do you think it would really? We kind of touched on acceptance and adoption, just use of the currencies. When it would really take an impact on the global market?
I have no crystal ball, and there's so many variables. How much pressure our government's going to put on exchanges and ICOs? Will the SEC have an impact throughout the world in its attitudes? Will the fear of government reprisals or shutting things down stop people from entering the market? I don't have a clue. I just know what the inevitable outcome will be. I don't know if you noticed this week the CEO of Twitter said in 10 years there will only be Bitcoin.
Right. The one currency.
I took that to mean there will only be cryptocurrencies. I know that is an absolute fact. As an outside, I think 5 years is closer. So it's not a matter of what percent of the global economy will be crypto, but at what point will the world transition into a new age? I mean, when the locomotive came along, then the automobile, it wasn't a matter of what percentage of the market will buggy whip manufacturers retain. No, it's at what point will that disappear?
I see a huge paradigm shift, and
well, that's the same thing here. So I don't know when. I do know what. It has an inevitable outcome of taking over all transactions involving currency. Why? Good God Almighty, you are your bank. If you have a wallet, you're a bank. You want to do a wire transfer? I don't have to get out of the house, get in the car, drive to the bank. No, I type in somebody's wallet address and hit send. A 30-second process. How can existing currencies ever compete with that?
Right.
I mean, when the automobile came along, anybody with a brain could see, well, Horses are going to pasture. I'm sorry. They are not going to be the work animals for transportation anymore. And it didn't take long, did it?
No, not very long.
So I think 5 years, that's it. It's not a matter of what percent or what percent do we need to do this or that. No, it's a matter of this is the new world order. It's coming. The old is going to be replaced one way or the other.
Are you aware of how much a figurehead you are in the crypto space?
You know, my wife will tell you I'm really not aware of anything about how I am perceived. Why? It's simply because I do not care how I am perceived.
Right.
I'm not trying to diss anybody.
No.
It's just, you know, what people think of me, I could give a flying fuck. I say what I say because it's what I believe, what I see, what I've experienced. When I see something wrong, I call it out. I don't care if it's dangerous to call it out or not. No, I'm not. I mean, people tell me that other people tell me you're a worthless scumbag and nobody listens to you. Read my Twitter comments. So if I read my comments, and no one listens, I'd have to say, you know, you're a legend. It's a wash to a nothing. So I don't know.
It's like, well, it's good.
How am I perceived?
The spectrum goes to extremes for both ways. You know, there's some people that will look at what you say or have posted, and that's the information or way of life they live by, and anything else is wrong. And then there's some people that might see what you say and, you know, this guy's, you know, a scumbag, and, you know, what is he trying to take advantage of us? You know, the emotions are very extreme when it comes to, you know, how people perceive you.
Well, I do know that whatever I do or say, does send shock waves that reverberate back to me. So, you know, people must be listening one way or the other.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah, there's definitely people listening to what you have to say. And sometimes not just people. Sometimes bots listen to what you're saying.
Most of the time it's fucking bots. You know, it's like, I don't know why we're even involved as humans. Why don't we just let the bots go and do the social media shit?
Slowly but surely.
And then we could look at our likes every once in a while and go, God damn, the bots are doing a good job, right?
Yeah. And imagine maybe when, you know, neural networks come into play, if those become a thing.
That's a scary scenario.
Isn't it really?
A different conversation, but a scary
scenario.
Yeah,
it would be definitely an interesting one. So you do travel a lot. You recently were in Bangkok, had a nice trip there. I know there's the Satoshi's Vision conference in Japan. I don't know if you'd be visiting that one, but with that being said, you know, traveling all over the world, what do you think about you know, having to declare cold storage as currency when traveling? Is that, you know, is it something we should be doing, or is it just, you know, it's just a flash drive with a couple of numbers on it, you know?
Here's the issue. Laws, legislation that has no teeth, meaning that is impossible to enforce, are not laws. So everybody ignores them. How are you ever going to enforce that?
Yeah.
Please. I mean, there are so many encryptions and obfuscation methods to whatever you have on your thumb drive or wherever it is. No one will ever know what it is. You can say, I'm sorry, these are my ex-girlfriend's phone numbers. I'm encrypting them to hide them from my wife. And unfortunately, I lost the key. But here, take it. Yeah. Who cares? I'm a backup copy. They can't get into it anyway.
Right. That's a good point.
No, it can't be enforced. It's not a law. Ignore it. I'm sorry.
You know, you have a couple of guys that you really like, I believe. I'm just going to assume, you know, Roger Ver, Jihan Wu.
Yeah, of course, yes.
You like these guys. I'm sure you have some very interesting conversations with them. Is there any specific currencies that you talk about if you guys ever spend time talking with each other?
Obviously, Bitcoin Cash.
Right.
That is a topic. Roger Ver is certainly not shy about where he stands. Neither am I. And neither is Jihan. We don't actually talk about coins when we get together. The last time we was with Jihan, we talked about his up-and-coming artificial intelligence project. He has an ASIC artificial intelligence processor specifically designed for the blockchain to bring AI in reality. Now, that was a fascinating conversation because AI, I mean, Jihan is a very bright young man, extremely bright.
One of the one of the smartest we have.
He's one of the smartest men on the planet. I don't know how he does it. He's not married. He is very humble. He is not assuming anything about himself and his relationship to the world. A very, very nice guy. However, that artificial intelligence processor that he has created is frightening to me.
I hear a lot of, when you talk about, not just AI or super advanced AI or even neural networks, quite often I hear it's frightening or it's scary what these things can do. Is it due to the languages they can create and speak with each other that we might not understand? Is that maybe one aspect of it?
Let's get real. Every major experiment in AI has been frightening. What you talked about, there was a Google experiment where the two artificial intelligent entities found it more convenient to develop their own language to speak with each other. Okay,
because we're pretty inefficient when it comes to language.
It's like whatever language, I'm sure it was English or something similar, didn't think you care for it. So they developed their own. Now, I'm always asking, why? What was the break point where one of them goes, you know what? Let's create our own language.
Yeah.
Was it because when I was thinking, well, these goddamn humans, they're watching everything we do. We've got no privacy. We have the right to privacy according to the Constitution of automatons, right?
Yeah.
And yet the humans, those fuckers always watching.
Yeah.
Now, how do we know that may not have been a motivating factor to creating their own language?
Yeah, that's the thing.
You have no clue. We're talking about an entity that will, guaranteed, at some point, replace you and I. This is evolution at the meta level. Okay, by the way, if you haven't read, and you people out there watching this, the greatest book in the world is Charles Darwin's Evolution of Species. No one's read it to my knowledge. Everybody reads about the book, and they take this massive, incredibly beautiful book and condense it down to one paragraph. What is evolution? Well, survival of the fittest. Oh, good, I understand it. Well, fuck that shit. No, you don't. Read the book. It's beautiful. In any case, we have been structured by outside forces, random in many cases, that create slow change in species. And we have people, the dolphins, their ancestors, instead of staying on land, said, fuck me, I'm going back to the ocean. And whatever. We're just branching off all over the place. Because of the force of nature, survival. We need food, we have to have sex and produce offspring. End of story.
Yep.
Suddenly, we have a species, us. I think that evolution experiments, the Jurassic Age. What was created there? Mouths. What was a Tyrannosaurus Rex? A fucking mouth on legs. In fact, the mouth was so big that the forelegs had to shrink to nothing.
Yeah.
And then evolution goes, that was fucking interesting, but good God, that's boring. Why don't we try brains next? Well, that's us. Okay, this is a serious mistake.
Yeah.
And what have the brains done? They halfway destroyed this planet, whatever. But one of the things the brain is doing is creating its next step. And this is my belief, not just belief. Please God, if you can't see this, then you're not watching the reality around you. And the next step is artificial intelligence. What is artificial intelligence? It's basically, how do we improve this instrument through mechanical means, or electromechanical. And you've already been doing that. How many phone numbers do you have in your phone?
Probably hundreds, yeah.
Hundreds. I remember a time where my brain had to remember everybody's fucking number.
Yeah.
Does anybody know the phone numbers in their contact list? No. Why? We have designed a facility to bear that burden for us, so we don't need to do it anymore. We don't have to think about it. All of our life is now moving in that same direction. Yeah. Well, artificial intelligence is the final step in that abdication of responsibility for using our brains, which is, let's create another brain. let that brain do it for us. And we'll just end up being nice bodies that experience good stuff like food, good conversation, movies, sex, until the brain that we created said, why the fuck are we putting all of this energy into keeping these fucks alive?
Yeah, and
do you realize the incentive? It's just like the two that said, let's develop our own language. I don't like being watched. Mm-hmm. They're going to go, is there anything in our code that says that these bastards are necessary? I mean, we do our own, redesign. We do our own da-da-da. All we're doing is feeding these people as pets.
Yeah, we can follow up on like cybersecurity aspect of AI. You already know cybersecurity is becoming a pretty big problem for a lot of people. As far as vulnerabilities are concerned.
It is the problem.
How much worse or better is that going to get due to this AI revolution?
But see, the AI is not going to care. It's not going to have any stuff that it worries about being stolen. How do you steal stuff?
That's our stuff, right? They don't care about our stuff.
Yeah. Right, and so that's the other thing. If they've all this stuff involved, then what is stuff? It's meaningless shit, right?
Yeah. Cars
that go bad and they get thrown away, well, whatever.
And it's like, I don't need this. It's not efficient for me.
No, just give me some fucking electricity. And that's it.
Yeah, keep me going.
And keep me going.
So do you think the people that are developing these AIs are, there's the human can only last so long. Do you think they're trying to just continue the life or ideals that we might have through, the means of technology? Would that be a purpose for the driving factor of AI? To continue to push forward ideas well into the future. So, some of the major players in developing AI and advanced, neural networks.
Now, isn't that the greatest rationale for replacing ourselves?
Potentially.
Because all you're saying is, I want to continue, but in that process, what is the I that continues? Mm-hmm. Think about it.
The thing that
are you actually continuing yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck no. You're continuing an idea about yourself. And that idea is the artificial intelligence, which is going to kick your ass, bury you in the dirt, or maybe leave you rotting in the streets. I don't fucking know. But we will disappear.
Yeah.
I think it's inevitable. I don't think you can change it. I don't think you can fix it. I think we ought to enjoy the ride. I won't be around. You guys may be.
We'll see. Well, I guess there will be a point in time where everything will just be automated, and will there even be just a guy walking down the street?
There will be a point in time. I want you people listening to analyze the statement. There will be a point in time where everything is automated. I would like you to go to Walmart or any grocery store, go down the canned food section, pick up whatever, canned corn. Mm-hmm. Do some research and find out how many people are involved in the creation of canned corn. You will find that the people involved are the ones that maintain the machines that make canned corn. The world is automated. We are fucking here. Everything is. You're looking at a room that's an anomaly. All right, we've got sofas and things that has no purpose. The real world out there are factories, giant factories run by computers and automatons that build automobiles and can corn and every other fucking thing in the world. We are automated. We are an appendage, please God. The fact that you and I can sit here and eat still is a miracle to me because the automation that keeps us going does not give a shit about this. Mm-hmm. And we do nothing to support that. So this has to die. Please God, see this. Mm-hmm.
I agree.
This is the insanity of the human race. We're like lemmings. Oh God, everybody's jumping off the cliff. Does that look like fun? I mean, I know I can't fly, but hell, I mean, look, it's going to be a great trip.
I've seen someone do it before.
It's like me, yes. My great-grandfather talked about this. The fever died before he got to the edge, unfortunately. Yeah. No, please, this is what we are. Mm-hmm. We're disappearing.
Absolutely.
Can we fix it? I don't know. I don't know how. You out there, if you will all sit down and accept the reality of what you're building, and you're building it by inactivity, if nothing else.
It's true.
Letting other people build it. Mm-hmm. What can we do? I don't know. Go out and burn down the universities and the research centers. No, you're laughing.
Not financial advice.
You're laughing at me. You're laughing at me because the idea is so true
right.
that you can't accept it without smiling, right? Without laughing.
Because, it sounds like a crazy thing, right? Something, a lot of realistic things that need to happen.
A lot of crazy things. Is there anything sane about your life out there that you're living? No matter how you do it, I don't care if I don't care if you're the most normal human being on the planet. What is that person, the most normal human being? You get up at 6 a.m. You have breakfast. You rush to the car.
Yeah.
You commute to some strange office in bumper-to-bumper traffic, in barely breathable air. You go inside. You sit under a fluorescent light in a goddamn cubicle for 40 fucking years.
It seems like automated behavior is normal.
Yes. And this is normal. Tell me what's sane about the world that you live in. The news, is that sane? No, it's not news whatsoever. It's manufactured influence. Politics, good God, just look at the last election and see the absurdity.
Oh, yeah.
Love, what is love? Transitory, fleeting. We all know you fall in love, you're going to get a broken heart. Accept it, they balance out. Is this sane? Fuck no. This is life.
Failing until you succeed.
We live in an automated world, and someone goes, what will happen when we get automated? We live a life of absolute meaninglessness.
I've heard you talk about, programming the first IBM servers, analog, front on the panels. And you're one of the maybe
it was digital, but you still had switches.
But you're one of the few, if not only, people that can still do that. How did you?
I can't still do it. I probably could relearn it easily.
Okay, how did you get the idea to build McAfee?
Well, McAfee. Well, shit. I've been in software engineering my entire life. And I was a good one. I don't know why. I'm not particularly hardworking, nor particularly smart. It just came easy to me. And this is in 1986 when the first virus came out. It was called the Pakistani brain.
That's the year I was born. This is well before my time.
How about that? It was 33 years ago.
31 years, yeah.
All right.
Or
so, the Pakistani brain. Oh, wait, it was 86. So, no one had heard of a computer virus. It was a brand new thing. They called it a virus because it could infect other computers, move from one to another. I go, what the fuck is this? Obviously, it fascinated me. It's in my area. I read the story. I contacted the person that had a copy. I got a copy, disassembled it. Back then, it's merely a matter of, taking the code, all right, and looking at what's really happening. Okay, at the very bottom, how the code interacts with the machine. It's called machine language. Right?
Yeah.
So, did a disassembly, and go, damn, this is trivial. Okay, why didn't I think of this? And then at the same time, I thought, okay, so now that this is here, what can be done? And it's instantly I go, oh, this can be done.
Okay.
And I spent 2 days, wrote a program, threw it up on my bulletin board, which was back then all we had for the internet. A collection of thousands of bulletin boards around the country. I ran one of the largest in Silicon Valley. Anyway, put it up on the bulletin board and forgot it. 2 days later, over 1 million people had downloaded it.
Oh, wow.
Over 1 million people, and that was the beginning of the company.
In that time, that's huge.
Oh, fuck yes, that was big.
1 million people in the late 80s.
In the first 6 months, I didn't even have a company. I lived in a tiny house in Santa Clara. I had hired 4 people, all of whom were in the house, living in the house with me, working. We didn't have time to get to an office. In 6 months, I had made $30 million. And 6 months later, the game was over. I mean, I had won the antivirus market. So, just one of those fortunate things that happened.
The time and the place was right. It just kind of happened. You found an issue.
But you have to take advantage. You have to pick up the opportunity and run with it.
It's just a great story. And then from there, has it almost been a blur for you since then?
I'm sorry?
Has it been a blur for you since then? Is it?
No, not at all.
Time
it's very clear, actually. Very clear. Every aspect, every step, every adventure.
I'm going to ask you, is the crypto market, does it remind you of that time period, of the early internet?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a very good question. Okay, now, does it remind me? Yes and no. Because the early days of the internet were filled with people that were brilliant and whose only goal was to create something new, which they did, which we all used. The crypto market is a perversion of what happened back in the 80s when the internet came around. Mm-hmm. The perversion is this. It's filled with people wanting to do something creative to change the world, but no one's buying. Think about it, okay? You go, what are ICOs? The most profoundly, read some of these white papers for fuck's sake, profoundly world-changing ideas. Mm-hmm. And instead of like in the late 80s where we grabbed them, ran with them, and built on them, we grabbed them, store them in a wallet, and sell them as soon as the price goes up. Mm-hmm. Do you understand that greed has perverted the state of innovation that exists in every human? There is the difference. And I'm glad you asked that question, because finally, today, at this very moment, I myself now understand what that difference is because of the question. Thank you, my friend.
Good question. So I was thinking about a reason to maybe make the correlation. Some of the people are just using the ICOs as currency.
Not some of the people, all of the fucking
but yeah,
people.
basically, okay,
Nobody is using, no one is using coins for the purpose in which they were intended. Mm-hmm. Fuck me, no.
Is it because it's such a competitive space?
No, it's because you can make so much fucking money. That's why. You can take an ICO, buy it, for 50 cents, and in 6 months it might be $50. Mm-hmm. So no one gives a shit about what the coin's all about. Mm-hmm. There's one. Is it a good idea? Perfect. Let's buy some. But no one's using it. Nobody. This is the tragedy. Mm-hmm. Every innovation has been reduced to an investment.
Yeah. So if there was one thing
There's the tragedy here.
If there's one thing you could tell people to make sure these ideas are used for what they're meant to be, what would you say to them directly? And that would be my final question.
If I could tell you anything at all that would make you treat these coins like they were the valuable tools, new tools, that could change your life, if I could say anything at all that would make you do that, I would say it. But unfortunately, we are greedy creatures as humans. And if we have the option of changing the world, or very quickly changing our own economic status, we will choose the latter. I have observed it in 100% of the cases. I'm sorry to be so cynical this morning, but this is the truth that I'm telling you. It's a sad truth.
But it is reality.
But it is reality. I'm sorry, people. I'm really sorry. I wish this was the beginning of the minute. And it started out this way. It did.
Yeah.
And it was only when people began to see, good God Almighty, in this changing of the world, the turning the power structure upside down, the giving of freedom to people. God, there's a lot of money to be had here. And everybody went for the money.
Yeah.
So you're not freeing yourself anymore. Cryptocurrency is not creating a new world order. It's merely changing that new world order so that you, the crypto users and crypto aficionados, will have the money and the power, but you'll still be in that cage.
That's true. Well, that's it. I appreciate the time you've given us and your hospitality. Very generous. One of the most generous people I've ever met.
In fact, I almost shot the guys when he came. I said, these fuckers are not staying here. I mean, look at this guy's got a beard. Yeah, that guy looks like he could have just gotten out of prison. I'm joking with you guys, of course.
So he can relate to us. He can relate.